Hey everyone, it's Ventus with the first episode of my Don't Starve tutorial series for Reign of Giants. This episode will focus on how to manage the very beginning of the game. There will be some general survival tips and guidelines on efficiently using your time to obtain meaningful vision of your world and sustaining your exploration with resources. The first few days of the game can be overwhelming. You're placed into a world without any food or supplies and no information about your location. You'll usually spawn in the grassland biome. This area is identified by its light green terrain and a combination of trees, grass, saplings, and bushes. If you don't spawn in this biome, finding grasslands is your number one priority before continuing anywhere else. Get a feel for your surroundings, and look in the immediate area and gather as many resources as you can, prioritizing food items and flint, while also grabbing as much cut grass and twigs as you can. Food is absolutely essential. I mean, the game is called Don't Starve, so you would be wise to follow its advice. Your hunger will tick down slowly over time. In the beginning, seeds, berries, and carrots can sustain your hunger for at least a few days, so be sure to stock up. At this point, you shouldn't be taking any risks, so your health shouldn't be dropping at all. If you do somehow take damage, it should be noted that seeds and berries don't restore health unless they're cooked, so petals and carrots are your go-to food items for restoring health. Flint will allow you to craft tools for gathering essential resources. You'll find pieces of flint scattered across the grasslands. Be wary that when you enter another biome, which is indicated by a change in turf, you'll find little to no flint on the ground, so be sure to grab as much as you can early. The axe is used to chop trees for logs, and the pickaxe is used to mine boulders for rock-type resources. The shovel and the hammer are not immediately useful, but will become increasingly useful later. If there's a shortage of flint in your area, it may be a good idea to hold on to the ones you have at the moment before you decide whether you want to make an axe or a pickaxe. Running out of flint early could lead to wasting a lot of time, resulting in draining your health and sanity. The first thing you want to do when you start a game is to clear your immediate area, gathering everything on screen if possible. Once you've cleared your immediate area, choose a direction and proceed to the nearest edge where the land ends and the water begins. Once you reach the edge of the map, choose a direction along the edge and explore the rest of the map this way. Contrary to what some players think, following the road is not a good idea in the beginning. The lack of vision on the world map and no clear destination at this point make the road less important, and it should only be used if it's close enough to the edge. The purpose of exploring the world along the edges is so that you know the outer boundaries of your world. That vision can be used to better plan your next moves by assessing hazards, desirable resources, or safe zones throughout all stages of the game. As you become more experienced, you can obtain a lot of information by just knowing the biome type, the size of the biome, and the distance it is from another location. You can fill in the rest of the map later. You may be tempted to venture away from the edge, because there's a chance you might find more resources or even better resources. However, in most situations you won't find anything immediately useful to you. Instead, you'll compromise the vision you obtain from the map, the time it takes to explore the entire world, and obtain minimal rewards if any at all. If you must backtrack for any reason, do so in areas that have already been revealed. It's safer this way. Plan your movements ahead of time. While exploring, gather as many resources as you can along your path. Avoid anything suspicious. That is, if it isn't something you can gather, ignore it. If you see something unfamiliar, just pause the game and wiki it before proceeding. Although there's no set quota for resources right now, 20 twigs, 20 cut grass, and 10 logs is a good amount to have. You'll also need at least one torch for nighttime. As for rock-type resources, 20 rocks and 10 flint is a good amount to have. It would also be a good idea to have a few pieces of gold and niter. They'll be useful once you decide to settle down. For food, just have as much as you can. If you gather everything in your immediate area from the grasslands, you should have quite a lot. Try and keep your resources above these values if possible. If you ever drop below these values, don't panic. Just plan out a time when you can gather more. Your goal is to have the entire edge of the map explored before day 15. For more experienced players, you can probably do this in 7 to 10 days. There are 5 primary hazards you should be aware of in the early game. Number 1. The marsh biome. Everything in this biome is hostile. Although I don't recommend you skipping anything in your exploration, it's better if you avoid it until you're familiar with it and have a weapon and armor. Enter at your own risk. Number 2. Spiders. These things are everywhere. If you absolutely have to fight them, do it away from their nests and other nearby spiders. They're weak and can be easily dispatched, but can swarm you in an instant if you're not careful. Number 3. Tall birds. Don't get close to them, and I can't emphasize this enough, don't loot their nests. I died so many times to them when I just started out the game. They hit hard, they're fast, and they have a lot of HP. Just straight up avoid them until you have a weapon and armor. Number 4. Beefalo. These things can be your best friends or your worst enemies. They're normally passive and can kill off aggressive enemies for you, but when it's breeding season, which is signified by their red butts, don't get near them or they'll attack you. They can be even more dangerous than tall birds. Number 5. Hounds. Hounds are aggressive monsters that will hunt you down. They first appear randomly between days 7 to 10 and will appear regularly every 3 to 10 days afterwards. Your character will warn you when they're about to approach, so start preparing for their attack in advance. Usually, this means stopping in place and just waiting it out, especially if it's nighttime. Have a campfire ready just in case. Armor is invaluable against hounds. As you learn to manage yourself better, you can loosen up a bit on the precautions. To sum things up, don't take any unnecessary risks. Gather resources whenever you can. Focus a majority of your time on exploration. Explore the edges of the world first, fill in the rest later. Maintain a sufficient amount of essential resources. Plan ahead. Finish exploring by day 15, ideally day 7 to 10. Don't be discouraged if you fail and die. Everything is a learning experience and you can only get better. If you died, think about why you died, how you died, what happened before you died. This way you can identify your problems and prevent them in the future. By no means is this an exhaustive tutorial of the early game. There will definitely be more videos about the early game. But until then, thanks for watching and don't starve.